Hello, welcome back. My microphone quality is going to be shit today because I don't feel like plugging in my microphone and getting it set up, so it's going to be a chill, low quality video, and we're just going to be chill with that. I'm going to be doing my makeup while we have a bit of a chat about something that's a little bit heavier, and that's why I'm going to be like doing my makeup. And that is like politically correct language, because something happened this morning I saw online that pissed me off, and I was like, I need to rant about this. Also, if you hear construction going on downstairs, shh. For starters, I want to just say first of all that like I would consider myself a very liberal person, like a traditionally like woke person, like a pretty traditional way. Like I think that people should have rights. That's a pretty good one. But recently I have been starting to, there's so much polarization online, and there are a lot of people who are like, oh, we hate like the wokeists, the left liberal snowflakes, the blue hair pronoun stereotype. And I think that that gives us liberals a bad name personally, because most people aren't like that. But I will say, I have started to experience that more online, where I'm like, wow, these people are snowflakes, like for real, like this is crazy. And I think a lot of it comes down to vocabulary and language. And I'm somebody who loves linguistics and etymology and like all things, about that and the way that like it socially affects people. And so I kind of wanted to analyze that through that kind of a lens. Morphe concealer, by the way. So this started because today I was on the internet and I was, scrolling through Instagram Reels of all things for people to get sensitive about. Like, you're on Instagram Reels, you have so many bigger things to deal with than language, but okay. But somebody had talked about their own story of like growth and hardship and everything, and in the video somebody used the word hobo as like a joke. She said like, I'm glad I'm not a hobo, as like a joke. And people got really upset about that because apparently that's like a fucking slur now or something. And the person had to apologize. They were like, hey, sorry, like I didn't know that I was using a derogatory word, I'm sorry. I think even more of a problem with the word unhoused. People say unhoused is like a better word than homeless. And like you can't say homeless anymore. It's no longer PC. I am yet to have been given an explanation on that. Why is saying homeless not acceptable anymore? Because I do understand, the meaning behind changing the word is saying like, hey, we need to be changing the way we're looking at these people. These aren't like a scum drain on society. These are people like you and I who just need more help. I understand that and I agree with that. I don't think that there's very many people who are going to be disagreeing with that. And I think the people who are disagreeing with that are not disagreeing with it because they're called homeless. That doesn't make any sense. Also, when you get into the language itself, into the words, I think it's a little bit weird because it's insinuating that they aren't homeless, they have a home. Their home is just the streets, and that's confusing. I'm like, doesn't that sound like, whereas it's like, just because they don't have a house, that's offensive. They could love being unhoused. Like, that just sounds like it's not helping. But people get really upset about that and about other things too. And my question is, well, I have two questions. First is, what homeless person is actually being offended by being called homeless and not unhoused? Like, you are not seeing protests and rallies of homeless, unhoused people saying, we don't care about, money. We don't want better social systems. We want you to change the word you call us. That's not happening. That is not happening. That is a fake problem. And then the second question is the people who are advocating for using different vocabulary. What else are they doing? Because you can't just say, oh, I'm using the politically correct word, that makes me a good person. Because are you donating to these people? Are you writing to your Congress people asking for a change in the social structure of your city? Are you like going out and donating and helping these people? Because I don't think that the word really matters if you're not doing any of that, okay, girly? Like, we have way bigger problems. They have way bigger problems. Okay, now, I know I am coming to this from a place of privilege. I can recognize that. I mean, you're watching me do my makeup with like pretty nice makeup supplies while I'm ranting into an iPhone. I clearly have never struggled with homelessness, but I can sympathize. Just because I come from a place of privilege doesn't mean that I'm stupid. Blush time. So that just kind of pissed me off, because I'm like, okay, like, this is not helping anybody. Because, you know, I think that a lot of people are just doing it to try to feel better about themselves. I think it's almost a bit of like a way to help with cognitive dissonance, where people are like, oh, I'm saying, hey, we need to be helping all these people. And it doesn't just apply to homeless people. This applies to any person who's in a difficult situation, any group of people who are, you know, like underrepresented or whatever. But they're saying like, oh, I need to be helping these people. But I don't really want to donate, and I don't really want to waste my time volunteering. Sometimes people can't afford to donate and waste their, like, not waste their time, but like spend their time volunteering and helping people. I understand that, you know, but you can't say then like, oh, but even though I didn't donate anything, I helped change the vocabulary and got really mad at people who were just talking online. This is helping. That's not helping. So that's why I'm like, you know, it doesn't, it's just like, seems like it's kind of like stirring a pot online of trying to make up problems, when they're like, and making up solutions to these problems so that you can feel like you're doing something, instead of actually focusing on the problems at hand in that situation, and also the bigger problems in the country overall. It doesn't matter what side of the political spectrum you're on, and if you're watching this, you're probably more similar to my beliefs, but we can all agree that there are way bigger problems in America right now than people calling homeless people homeless. Like, can we all agree on that? Like, even if you don't like that I'm saying the word homeless, which I still don't, I've never met somebody in real life who actually cares, by the way. Just saying. And again, I know that I live in an area where there aren't any homeless people, really, because I kind of live in the middle of nowhere, so they just freeze. But, like, come on, like, we all can agree that there are much bigger problems in the United States of America right now than what we're calling homeless people. Okay, but some people online act like, no, like, this is the biggest problem ever. But those are people who have made a problem. They've made up this problem saying, oh, this vocabulary is offensive. This is the problem. I'm a really great person. I'm going to solve this problem by just saying another word. Would you look at that? I solved a problem. I'm such a great person. When in reality, no more problems have been solved. Now there's just more people arguing online, and we don't need any more of that. But then this goes to other words too, words that I'm not going to say because of this, but some like words that are actually considered slurs. Now I'm specifically, when I'm saying this in my mind, I'm specifically thinking of the R slur, but other words can definitely be applied to this, is that it can be used, you know, there's a lot of people who will say that they can claim this word, and they're like, oh, more and more people can now claim this word. We're using it more and more now, so it's actually like okay that like I can say it because I'm like, you know, somebody thought, like one doctor said I might be neurodivergent, so like I can literally say the R slur. I'm saying this, you might think that I'm making up a problem, but I have met people in real life who say this. I have a friend who literally fucking says this. People are like, well, I'm literally dyslexic, so I can say the R slur. And I'm like, no. Okay, when we go back to the Latin of this, now, you know, etymology, when we go back to the Latin of this, that word literally just means too slow. Like in music, a retardando just means to slow. And like, no one's getting offended by that. Okay, hopefully. If people are getting offended by musical terms, I'm gonna start throwing hands. But, this is not like, when you can't just say that more and more and more people can claim a word, because then it loses its power anyway as which is good in that it can no longer be used to, you know, insult people, but you can't just all reclaim the word, then it just becomes any other word. So either like actually reclaim it, or just say that you're saying a bad word. I feel like that was a little bit harder to explain what my mental process was going into that, but I promise that I had one. That kind of stuff is just annoying to me. Also, when we talk about etymology, that sometimes it gets like frustrating because it's important to know the history of a word too. Let me take off my sweater real quick, it's getting too hot. Every word has a history. Every word has like a etymological lineage you can look back to see where the roots are from. This includes bad words, this includes slurs, this even includes like fake slang words like skibbity toilet. But when you look at certain, it's important to know the history of words, especially like words that are being talked about in the media, words, things that are getting censored, slurs, things like that. It's important to know the history and have yourself educated in what these words like really mean when you break it down, because there's the etymological meaning and then there's the cultural meaning. So, different things like for example, the word jealousy is not a synonym for envy. Those are two entirely different things. But if you said that you were jealous of someone because you wanted what they have, I'm not going to correct you, because culturally and like socially, that is correct usage. Does that make sense? So the same thing can be applied with bad words. So the word that I'm specifically going to say here is, I don't know if this is technically a slur or not, and because I'm not monetized, I'm just going to say it. So trust me, I'm not saying it in like a way that's rude, and I'm going to explain the etymology behind it. And then hopefully you won't be like, oh my God, you're saying a bad word. Like, just chill out, okay? The word is hermaphrodite. That is a word that is usually derogatorily used to mean intersex people. But the history of that word is very interesting because it comes from the name of a Greek titan. I'll put it here how to like say it and pronounce it how they pronounced it in Greek. But that's like the history of the word. That's where it came from. And this character in Greek mythology was a person who was like a creature. It wasn't a person. It was more of like a Greek god. So it wasn't like an intersex person because it wasn't a person, but a creature who was both male and female and had like very beautiful connotation in a lot of way of like being like able to represent the masculine and feminine side of things and how they interact. So overall, that was like, it was a positive thing. This was not a bad word. This was a really good, like what we would consider today to be like a liberal character, of like a kind of cool, I mean, not accurate because again, it's Greek mythology, but a fairly decent mythological representation of intersex people. And then the word was later appropriated by like old crusty white guys to be derogatory. So I am not intersex. I'm also not like in charge of the words. I'm not the word police, but it would be in my own personal opinion. And I can't change the cultural way that word is looked at now. It is how it is. I'm not going to say it like to people because it's rude. It's, I don't know if it's like technically considered a slur, but I know it's not considered the most like polite, politically correct term. I know that. But I would think if anything, that word should be able to be reclaimed by like anybody who's not an old crusty white man, because it was like a pretty fine term and the term that was just used in general really until it was used derogatorily. So when we're kind of giving reverence to a word like that, as like oh, that's offensive, don't say that, stay away from it, we're not giving reverence to the people who it is used against. We are giving reverence to the old crusty white guys who made it derogatory. And I know that might be kind of a controversial opinion, and I wouldn't say that it holds true with all slurs, because like you could say kind of the same thing with like the N-word, and obviously we're not gonna say that. Okay, that's a whole different topic. That's a whole different problem that we have right now on the internet. But like, do you get what I'm trying to see here? Like, the people who made it offensive, like by still respecting the fact that it's offensive, you're kind of respecting the people who made it offensive, not the people who it actually is used against. I don't know. Whatever. You can argue with me about that. Again, with all of this, I'm keeping my mind open. I'm not an expert. You're probably not an expert either, though, so that's important to know. But if you have personal relevance, I think everybody's story is equally as important. And everybody has like a right to agree and disagree. ColourPop highlighter on my nose, by the way. The other thing that I was kind of thinking about earlier today is like, people really love arguing about words online, and we don't even know what half the words that we're saying even mean. So I think that we need to be educating ourselves, because that was another, like I just said, I'm not an expert. You probably aren't either. So when one person says something on the internet, someone else will comment and be like, actually, that's incorrect, and here's why. And if neither of those people are experts, if both of these people are 14-year-olds in their crusty bedrooms just arguing with each other, neither of them has like a logical higher ground here. Okay, neither of them are experts. One of them might be more politically correct, one of them might be more even just like scientifically correct. But if neither of them have the credentials, like one of them found a slightly more trustworthy website than the other, like what are we even talking about? Like, not how it works. So I think that that's something that we all, including myself, I definitely find myself falling into this trap because I would consider myself a pretty like intelligent, well-read person. But even I'm not an expert on anything, okay? I don't even have my high school diploma yet. That is still in the works. So I definitely don't have like a PhD in etymology or Greek mythology or like gender and women's studies or anything like that, or like politics. Or politics, anything. Hiccups. So I just think that people need to like humble themselves, because everyone thinks that they're the center of the universe. That's like being a person. But everyone also thinks that they're the center of like their own argument on the internet. And when I say everyone, I mean everyone. Okay, you and I can guarantee you, are also like have also done this, where you think like, oh, like all of these other people are stupid and I'm the only person who really knows the truth. I think that we all think that subconsciously. The other thing that I just wanted to touch on very lightly when it comes to like words and the power of words, that I'm not going to get super deep into because it's like a really big topic, and I'm not an expert. I'm just someone who's watched a lot of video essays and read a lot of articles and like attended class with people who are experts. But when people start to use slurs in a public way, like specifically when people in power start to use slurs in like offensive ways, trying to like either invent new slurs or claim old ones so that they can use them too. They're like, we're not going to make America liberal and woke anymore. We're all going to be allowed to say the N-word. Like that kind of stuff. That is a sign of a fascist state. Just so you all know, that's a fascism indicator. Yeah, we're talking about recession indicators. So here's a fascism indicator. So yeah, I guess I'll keep talking until I'm done with my makeup. I should have been focusing more on my makeup this time. I'm doing my eyeshadow right now though, and I'm using the Jaclyn Hill Morphe palette. I'd never even heard of Jaclyn Hill. I just liked the palette. It's really pretty. And I used like a darker crease on the corner of my eyes. They look super weird in this camera. I promise it looks better in the mirror. And then I'm using like a lighter color on the inside, like that. Kind of blending it in, because I have to go to work later today, and it's the busiest day of the entire year at my restaurant that I work at, because there's like a big like parade and rodeo going on. So the parade's over by now, which thank God I didn't have to work in the morning. But it's still gonna be really busy tonight, so I have a parking spot reserved, which is great. But yeah, I'm not I'm not looking forward to working. It's gonna be busy, but I'm also gonna get good tips. So we're gonna be good. Editing update. My manager just texted me and I don't have to come into work now because it wasn't as busy as they thought it was gonna be, and they hired like every single person to work today, so we didn't need quite as many people as they thought we were, so now I get to stay home. But yesterday was an exhausting day at work. It was so awful. It was so exhausting. I was so tired. I was like falling asleep, like micro naps, because I was crashing on all the caffeine I had earlier that day. I had like an energy drink and a Diet Coke, and I was totally crashing. And then like there were still people eating an hour after we closed. Like we were open way past closing. And because yesterday was technically my final training day as like a waitress instead of just a dishwasher, I was only making minimum wage. So I was sitting there and the wire of my bra was like giving me a blister on my chest. I don't even know why. And I was just like sitting there like, I want to go home and die. Like this is horrible. I was so tired. And then I got home and I couldn't even sleep, and I didn't fall asleep until 2 a.m. So yeah. But yeah, I feel like I kind of don't have a whole ton more to say right now. Except like, be nice to each other. Be nice to each other. And not only should you be nice to each other, you should also just like not care so much about things that are not that important. Like when you're arguing about something, think, in the grand scheme of things, is this really important? And I'm totally like guilty of this also. Like right now, is any of this important? Maybe, probably not. So like I can recognize that in myself, that I've been yapping for 20 minutes about something that many people would say is not even important. But I think a lot of people think that it's more important than it is, and that they're just like not educated. Education is always important. Knowing what you're talking about is always important, no matter what the context is. It could be about like quantum mechanics, or it could be about like video game strategy, okay? Knowing, like being educated and knowing what you're talking about will always be important. So, I mean, there's that. I do truly believe that. I'm waiting for this lipstick to dry. It's like a lip stain, so like it looks really bright right now, but then when it dries, I can like blot it off. But before, as I'm waiting for that to finish, I don't have to look in the mirror anymore, so this lighting's a little bit better. It still looks a little bit washed out. You always look better in the mirror than on a phone camera, we know this, but I recently just got my first paycheck ever in my life. So I bought this perfume that had been on my wish list for years. I was like in the airport, which travel vlog coming soon, by the way. I was in the airport and there's like the duty-free section where there's no taxes on anything. So I was like, what a better time than now? So I have the Miss Dior Blooming Bouquet perfume that, I was gonna get the smaller size, but this is like the full biggest size that is double the small size and like way less than double the price. So it was honestly worth it. I was like, oh, fine, whatever. Like I splurged a little bit on it. That's okay. Put it in my hair. All right, the lipstick is dry and blotted, so I can put my lip gloss over it. Okay. And then I'm still not entirely sure how I'm gonna do my hair, because I usually just like throw it up into a claw clip when I walk into work. But like, I don't know, I'm just kind of brushing it out for now. And then I'm gonna wear this necklace with like these like fake pearls with a little golden heart on it. And this is a new shirt. It's like brand new and I haven't washed it yet, so I've already worn it twice and I haven't even washed it yet. But I really like it. It's like really cute. It's like a cute, like tight fitted cut, which is nice. And then these earrings, which are also new. My grandma got them for me at Old Navy. I'm struggling here. Okay, there we go, I got it. All right, well, thanks for listening to me rant and rave. If you got this far, then you're probably one of my closest friends, and like that's it. Those are the only people who would like watch this far into a video. Yeah, if I back up a little bit from the camera, I think I'm looking pretty good. Ready to take people's orders at a brewery and bring out their fried pickles. All right. You'll see me next time. Peace out. That was cringe, actually. Hold on, let me try that again. You'll see me next time. I don't know. You know the thing.